I got to tell a little story about my freshman year of high school with my physical science teacher, Mr. Evenhouse. Said that he was saying your sense of smell comes from like real particles. And one girl goes, wait, so when someone farts, that's real poop particles? And he went, and this dude was like 90% socialized. You know, he's like a true science teacher. You know, he'd been there like 40 years.
Easy.
Yeah. And he went, well, yeah, it is real poop particles. Like, didn't understand the humor in it. Did just like, yep, it's real poop. And the other day I was driving home to Knoxville, and there were these giant ditches between the road and the field. You know how some fields are real close to the road? This was not a giant ditch. And an airplane's flying over, spraying chemicals on this field. And just drive under. And you could see it when the plane was right above where I was driving through. There wasn't any like chemicals coming out of it, right? Mm-hmm. You can see when it's spraying, and you can see when it's not spraying.
Well, it's well known that when you turn a sprayer off, 0% leakage.
Yeah, no leakage.
No dribble.
Well, and so I passed right under there, and my car just like covered in little specks of liquid.
Yep.
And then maybe 10, 15 seconds later, I start to smell it. And all I could think about was Mr. Evenhouse, like, yeah, real poop particles. Yeah. And it's like when you smell it in the air, you're not smelling the smell of chemicals. You're just smelling chemicals, like real chemicals that are there in the air right next to you. So, like, anyway, having a good old time. This is a little precursor because we've got some chemical experts, true experts, coming on the pod here in the next month or two. So we're excited about it.
But Nick, if you could only see how little of amount of that chemical, that chemical that would be harmful for you to ingest, if you could just see how little of an amount that is, you would thank them for allowing you to smell that chemical smell.
Yeah. I know the water they use in their field smells very chemically.
every big ag apologist who offers that up, I just want to say to them, then drink it. Go ahead. Yeah. Take it in. It's just such a small amount. You drink that amount.
Oh, yeah.
It's the amount of one shampoo bottle for 1,000 acres. Yeah. Drink a shampoo bottle of it then.
Yeah. Yeah, I know Aaron does. Just big drinker.
Oh, yeah, on a regular basis.
Just trying to feel it. Just trying to feel something. Anything.
Yeah, didn't you ask him if he was hanging out at some bar once, and he's like, no, I have morals. That's his response.
Well, all right, we should just jump on in. Coffee Time Wednesdays with the Prairie Farm Podcast.
Can't hit us with the jingle.
Do-do-do-do-do.
At Hoxie Native Seeds, our mission is to provide native seed and education for landowners and land managers that care about their ground. So the education, we're doing that through the podcast and interviewing experts and the stuff we put out through our website. But the native seed that we provide, whether we grew it or we work with other producers that grew it, we are here to provide that for you. It's what keeps the lights on for us, and it's what we love to do. Most of our seeds grown right here on our farm, HoxieNativeSeeds.com. Oh, and if you need a little help with consultation, not sure what to put on your ground, we would be happy to help you with that as well. Give us a call, HoxieNativeSeeds.com. Welcome back to the Prairie Farm Podcast, Coffee Time Wednesday. I'm your favorite host, Nicolas Lirio, with your favorite co-host, Ken Boucher.
Hey.
And your favorite guest, the co-host of the host, Aaron Van Wyk.
And what's Riley say? Howdy, howdy.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
That's true. A couple of things. Riley, you better not be listening to this right now. You better actually be on break. You better not be checking in on this pie, all right? We're going to know.
How many times do you think Riley's checked the company website while on vacation?
Oh, to see if we got like an order?
I'm gonna say not including email. I'm gonna say he's checked our company website. We have like a back end website where you type in the right thing and then you got to log in and all that. I bet you he's been on that 3 times per day since.
3 times per day. He's taken the whole week off. I think. No, I don't think so. I think he's checking his email 3, 4, 5 times a day.
Oh yeah, email. Yeah, I'm gonna set the over under at 10 for email.
10 a day, checking the email. Oh,
I bet you he's been on the ERP 3 times a day.
Okay, yeah, you might be right. Yeah, just to see what's going on, what Judd's putting
That's
in
just
there
the kind of guy Riley is.
Yeah.
He wants to make sure everything's going well.
Well, I tried to also get him to take last Friday off, so he'd have Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday through Friday, and then Saturday, Sunday off, and he was not about it. He was like, "No, I'll be here Friday. I've never taken 10 days off. I don't know what I'm going to do with that time." Oh man! So we brought in a guest. We pulled a slugger. Thanks for being here, Aaron.
Yeah, no problem.
He's only losing profitability on his farm that requires him to be there at all hours of every day.
Dude, the more I look at ag, if you pay yourself a salary, like, I don't even know, like profitability and farms just don't seem to go together. You know what I mean? Like, but they'll be like, well, it's profitable by $70,000. Well, if you paid yourself a $65,000 salary, how much profit is it? Well, I guess 5,000 then. You know, it's like they're counting. No other job counts salary and profit.
You have to look at it as a hobby. So half those hours are hobby hours.
Yeah, that's right.
Leisure time.
There's Nick's hobby farm conversation.
That is so funny. You get paid. Well, I was paying myself for 40, but that got too expensive, so now I'm paying myself for 28 of the hours, which means there's about 45 hobby hours in the farm. Yo, that's funny. That's funny. I've got 3 topics, and we're going to vote. We're going to do a little vote on which ones we're going to do. First one, wildfires.
Yeah.
Second one, poop lettuce. And third one, the Colorado River drought. And for anyone listening, we're going to pick 2 because otherwise it gets too long. Can't go as in depth. And then the next week we'll pick one of these that we didn't pick this week.
I think we need to circle back to the explosive diarrhea lettuce because Aaron and I have both seen since lettuce was blamed for this impressive outbreak. I don't think it's lettuce anymore.
When did you see that? Because
yesterday.
Because the FDA yesterday said that they
they apologized, right? The FDA apologized.
I can't remember, but it was something along the lines that it was not correct that was causing the outbreak. But regardless, I think we've had enough poop talk from you, Nicolas.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, okay. Well, what I found that was actually coming from Mexico. Mexican farm because there's a different
they're saying that was incorrect.
Interesting.
From what I've
I wonder if that's we'll swing back around to it next week, but I wonder if that has anything to do with the trade tension there is between the US and Mexico right now. You know what I mean?
I don't think America's too interested in supporting anyone's feelings towards us right now.
Yeah, that's fair.
Didn't we just slap more tariffs on Canada, and one of the reasonings was all the smoke coming over the border?
Yeah. Oh man, I don't know anything about the tariffs, but I did look into the smoke coming across the border, and we should talk about it. All right, so as of July 19th, which was when the article that I read was written, there were about 8 million acres that were consumed by fire. Most of the fire they expect to go on for months, and some of the fire, less than most, they were thinking about a third of it, they expected to continue until snow fell on it. The health implications, there is real hazardous air. For instance, Duluth, Minnesota smashed their record of air quality index. Over 300 is considered hazardous. I lived through a fire crisis in California. We got up to, I think, 570, and they're at 934. Just to show how bad it is. There were many people.
Our buddy Nick Larson lives up in Duluth area.
We should shoot him a message, see what it's like up there. There have been many people that have literally the helicopter had to come and get them out of their spot that they were in. The boundary waters, obviously, I don't know how much ash is considered a pollution, but when houses and stuff are burning, then it immediately becomes a pollution issue. And so, boundary waters are affected in that way. And they're having an issue with, I guess, air conditioning, because it's you can kind of lock your house in and keep the air quality a little better. But as soon as you turn on air conditioning that isn't totally state of the art, or you open a window, then it, becomes quite hazardous, but otherwise it's 90 degrees in your house. So what do you do there? And then for
because it's circulating the same like carbon monoxide, carbon dioxide from all the smoke.
well, what I read was just a news article from ABC where they just interviewed one person, and that person said, well, in my house I can set up an air filter, but like just a one you buy from Walmart, but as soon as you either open the windows or turn on the AC that pulls, is circulating air from outside, new ones that have really, like if your construction in the last 5 to 10 years, you can have a really tight house that will circulate it or even has its own air filtration system on it. But most of them are not that.
So is the threat the particulate that's in the air, like ash and dust? Or is it carbon monoxide?
No, it's ash and dust. It's just like pure air quality in terms of pollution. But I don't know. Fires are interesting. They need to happen, and the better we are at suppressing them, the worse they are when they finally come out of their shell. And I don't know if you guys have put any thought into that, but I'm curious what you think.
I just think the Native Americans had it figured out with when there was a flood. Volcano erupted, you picked up your house and you moved it to where that wasn't happening. and instead we said, sheetrock and wood beams and steel and concrete. I'm staying here no matter what. and bad things happen. But obviously that's how we've set up society, and it is a shame that is the cost of like living in those areas, right? Some areas, this is a Luke Fritsch concept that he's marveled about, is just how we choose to live places where they aren't set up well to necessarily support human life naturally.
Oh yeah.
So in other words, we live there for other reasons, right? We don't live there for the fertile soil or the abundance of calories. We live there because it's beautiful. It's a getaway. We like the climate, whatever it is, right? And unfortunately, pairing that with a non-nomadic way of viewing the land and living on the land, you set a permanent fixture in some of those extreme areas, and one fire does have to happen. I mean, just think about it. It'd be like never taking the garbage out in your house. The way the cycle of matter is in a forest, in a pine forest, is you have all these needles that are building up. Yeah, some are decomposing, but a lot of them takes many years to do that. And when you look at, which I believe is what most of that is, right? Boreal forest throughout Ontario.
That was my understanding, at least. Yeah.
A good survival situation is using pine needles and things because they have, I think it's called resin, high resin content in the sap of pine that is like turpentine. So super flammable. And all it takes is, a spark and enough of that fuel load built up over the years, then you got yourself in a super flammable area,
I don't know. Aaron, what do you think?
I think what Kent said kind of rings true to like living on the coast. Like, you want to live on the coast, but a hurricane might come through, and you need to be aware that that's going to destroy everything.
Yeah.
So if you're going to live in an area prone to massive wildfires, you might get a massive wildfire come through and lose everything. I don't know if there's a way to mitigate it, control it. And another thing is the smoke, you might not be anywhere near the actual fire itself, but the smoke is going to affect such a huge area if the wind shifts.
What do you think, if you had to guess, the most habitable place, let's just say the United States, what do you think is the most habitable for humans? And I mean well-rounded. Like, think of how harsh winters would be, how hot summers would be, water, soil, fertility. What do you think?
I think probably somewhere like southern Wisconsin, southern Minnesota. You have lots of lumber resources not far away. You have tons of water. You have fertile soils. You have the winters get a little worse than they are here, but pretty, moderate climate throughout the year. Probably somewhere around there. Maybe like a Michigan, like a southern Michigan too. Maybe.
I wonder if anyone's ever done a study on it. Aaron, what do you think?
I was thinking it had to be a lot farther south just to avoid the cold winters.
Oh, true, yeah.
You know, I was thinking like Southern California sounded pretty good.
Yeah.
Or Hawaii,
probably
maybe.
Parts of, maybe not Southern California, because there again you wouldn't be able to grow much food.
Yeah, that's true.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean? But like Northern California, wine country California, that's pretty cradle of civilization-y.
Yeah, that's up there for me. I think what do you call it? The Ohio River Valley, right?
Yeah.
Wars were fought over that. And then I don't know as much about it, but I assume where the Missouri.
Oh, I'm changing my answer. I know right where it is.
What
It's Illinois.
Why?
Think about it. Illinois has got everything. You go down into southern Illinois, it is huge, dense forest. You go, but you don't have the killer cold of like, the dense forested parts of Wisconsin, Minnesota, Michigan. And then you have tons and tons of arable, good crop growing ground. You have.
I was thinking somewhere around where the Missouri pours into the Mississippi.
That would be in Illinois.
Is that in Illinois?
Yeah, Cairo, Illinois.
Well, I figured like there you have plenty of water, and I knew that it was somewhere in the Midwest where they'd have arable acres. And I knew it was further south than Iowa, so their winters wouldn't be as strong. I feel like there's something, where you have rivers, you got a lot of forested area usually.
Yeah. Missouri would probably be very good too, actually.
Yeah.
Maybe I changed my answer to Missouri.
It's like the Ozarks. I mean, the Midwest, man. It's
like
just
when
habitable.
we went to visit Steve, that place was. It's the Mormons, right? That believe Missouri was Eden, and I get it. You know what I mean? Not a lot of things we agree on, but maybe so. You go down to that place and there's just so much biodiversity. You know what I mean?
Almost Eden. South Missouri.
North Missouri.
Dude, that is interesting. What is the most habitable place? But we don't pick those places. We do not.
Take me to Colorado where there's no water, tons of rock, and very few animals and plants.
Well, I mean, I lived through the Paradise and campfires in northern California, the Redding fires. I mean, they were brutal, and it got me thinking. So I've been thinking about this for years. Can you even have regimented fires like we do with prairie burns in giant forests like that?
I don't know how you would control it.
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying. So it's like
maybe if you could get like the community in on it, instead of like having trained professionals, like maybe instead of training everyone to run a riding lawnmower, maybe we train everyone to use a drip torch and play the wind. And like, all right, it is whatever communities burn week, all week we're going to be going around and the whole community is going to be participating in controlled burns. And you do it every single year so that fuel load couldn't.
That's what I mean, I don't know.
Because you couldn't staff it.
Fires.
You just couldn't staff it. You need so many people.
And the terrain's so rugged,
Yeah.
Thing around here, if we do a prairie burn,
I
don't know what you usually figure for a fire break, but I always think like twice your height of what you're burning you need in width as a break.
Yeah.
So if you're burning 100-foot tall trees, now you need a 200 plus foot fire break.
Yeah.
So now you got going through with dozers and track hose and clear and maintain a massive fire break.
Yeah.
That is true.
And then it doesn't take much of a wind to jump, 200 feet's not very far if you're burning a massive forest.
Yeah, it's almost like we should have entire communities participating for one, just to have enough people.
Yep. It'd have to be in the culture, like it'd be part of like growing up. You would just learn how to do this.
Once again, what did Native Americans do?
Yeah.
It was part of their culture. Burn the prairie every year.
Yep.
And you can't, I mean, when you're in those extreme places, because there were people that lived in those extreme places. There were Native American tribes that lived year round up in Canada and in the coldest, harshest places, and in some in the hottest places too in our country, driest places. But they lived with the land, not just observing the land, right? And when we have our climate controlled permanent structures that we exist huge percentages of our life hours in, what we're saying is whatever the climate is out there, it's different in here. And which is, I understand, I do the same thing, right? If you know me, you know I hate summer. You should have smelled Aaron and me the other day when we were riding in a truck together. Both of us were completely soaked in sweat. But so I do the same thing. I'm not virtue signaling here. I'm just saying, like, whatever the solution is, we probably wouldn't like it that much because it would mean that we would have to become a part of where it is that we're living.
Yeah.
Not just an observer, not just someone who can snap great pictures of sunrises and sunsets, but living hand in hand with the land.
Well, and that is it would be like, even if it was all the communities, you would still have a bunch of government oversight, you know, and that kind of thing. So you're talking about a huge expense added to each household. You know,
that's my point of the community had to be a part of it to save on that expense. I think if you're going to pay your way out of it, think of how many people would have to be working for the Forest Service. I mean, and our country just cut a bunch of those people with their jobs. So we would have to have just such an immense number of people on the government's payroll to take care of all that. Now, maybe the private sector takes over where communities are like, yeah, whatever it costs, set up your prescribed burning company. We'll pay you to come in and now that
you're talking billions of dollars a year, probably
many billions. Yeah. I mean, think of like the California Paradise fires last year, or Palisades fire. And what was the other one?
Oh yeah,
Southern, or that was 2 years ago, right?
Palisades it was last summer.
Was it last summer? I can't remember, but what a terrible disaster, right?
Yeah.
And think of it was where all like some of the wealthiest people in our world were living. You know, the neighborhoods of the ultra wealthy were burning. I mean, think of the cost lost. I'm sure it's still not even realized. You know,
have you? Oh, sorry, Aaron.
I was just gonna say, I wonder what the time frame for another disaster like that to happen would be. You know, after they burned all this fuel load off. How soon could something like that happen again? I mean, are we talking like 50 years, 100 years?
I bet it's 3 years because
3 years.
I mean, they don't have near the people. When I made my knock on Colorado earlier, they're like, they got all kinds of elk and all that. On a square foot basis, the amount of life compared in prairie country to out west, it's a drop in the bucket.
Yeah.
But so here I'm saying that because in prairie country, if you got a prairie that hasn't burned in 3 years, I view that as a major fire hazard.
Right.
Like it would not during a dry time of the year. You threw a match out there, you got some serious burning going on, and I got to think in those forested areas, it's probably fairly similar. You got all that leaf litter, all the sticks and twigs, you know. I don't know, maybe not 3 years, maybe more like 5 to 10, but I bet you it's not long.
If you're thinking about cover crop for your land or your landlord's land or something that you might be managing, you've got to check out Iowa Cover Crop. We have worked with them many a times personally, and even though they're a small company, they are as efficient as any of the big companies that we've worked with. They do a fantastic job and also super educated. Those poor guys, we have pestered them with more ignorant questions than maybe any other company we've ever worked with on anything, and they answer really well and very promptly. We really appreciate them. If you're looking for cover crop, check out iowacovercrop.com. You're not going to regret it, and let them know that the Prairie Farm Podcast sent you their way. Man, are you familiar with like what do they call that? Metrons? And it's the idea that it's like a person, we try to imprint ourselves on the world, right? And at a most base level, you do it by existing and then secondarily by reproducing. You're imprinting yourself on the world. But we as humans have gotten very powerful. So another way we can imprint ourselves in the world is by getting other people to think our thoughts that we originally came up with. Or another way is to buy land and control that land how we want it. But it's interesting that just as a civilization, we have imprinted ourselves in the world by saying, everywhere that I go, there will be a bubble of the temperature that I want it to be. Yeah. Everywhere that I go, I will have the amount of light in that room that my eyeballs need to see with that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That's true.
And we're just like, and our houses are getting bigger. Our imprint is getting bigger and bigger and bigger on social media. You know, our imprint, our footprint of people consuming us is getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And I just think that's interesting. But to some degree, unless we are going to fully control a whole forest, which we do not have the resources as a country to do that to all of our forests, without doing that, we would have to deal with the forest being itself and not how we want it to be, as to be itself. I think if we're going to live how we want to live currently, letting giant forest, I don't think this is good, but letting giant forest fires happen every 10 years in an area, I think that, I mean, I'm okay with us deciding, hey, we're going to put a ton of our community resources and it's going to be part of our culture. And this is our forest. If a community like owned a forest, like we have the best forest in the state of Iowa. This is our forest. We manage this forest. We burn it every other year or whatever. Unless we're going to do that, having these giant burns to me is like the best alternative.
Well,
and I don't think it's a good one. I don't like it.
The obvious unfortunate is, first of all, loss of life, injury to humans. And then loss of property. And I think, and I was thinking along these lines this week too, of our conversation just in my goings on out in the field or whatever, I think is what it was when I was mowing last week. What's unfortunate is there was an era in American history where we really thought we could control nature, right? Think of all the dams we built, land slapping down the railroad, killing off nearly all of our wildlife, straightening rivers and streams, and laying down an interstate system everywhere, right? But there was a limit to that where, yes, our technology would allow us to get away with that, right? And then we've bumped up against whatever that limit is, right? Like Aaron's saying, these dense population areas along the coast that just seems like every 10 years get wiped out by a hurricane. In fact, I think, there's some wild thing with homeowners insurance in Florida now, I'm pretty sure, where it's like they had to pass some significant laws to where it would, and it's included like within your income taxes maybe down there or something like that like helps subsidize insurance companies so that people can still have it.
Well, the state has to beg insurance companies just to hold insurance in that state. And a lot of insurance companies are, so like in Iowa, that I think it's like 30 years. They kind of do the math on, you need to pay for your house in insurance every 20 to 30 years. Well, in places in Florida right now, it's like every 5 or 6 years.
Right.
So yeah.
And an interesting thing about our society, which is always, throwing away and making new things, is we don't really do that much with housing. When a house goes up, it usually stays occupied forever, right? Until it's, totally fallen apart or something. But I lived in a house in Davenport that was built in the year 1950, I believe. And I would bet that who's ever living there now, which I think is still the people that bought it from us, they're probably close to the 10th family that's lived in that house.
Wow.
Which, find a car that's had 10 different owners, find really anything that's had, other than maybe land, right? These structures stay pretty well permanent. So if you have neighborhoods that were set up during that era of we can control all of this, and then someone buys that house thinking that it's going to be fine because people have lived here forever, and then the once every 50-year fire happens, they're the big losers in the end, right? And I almost think that when we have these big events that show us, hey, you thought you could do this, but nature's actually saying every 50 years, no, you can't. And if you factor in climate change, it might be every 25 years or something like that, no, you can't get away with this. Then we should probably, in part of the recovery process of that, maybe have some zoning regulation. Like, look, we learned this area here, it's just too risky. People are dying. It's causing insurance companies to go out of business, like what happened in California when you were there. Remember that? All those, those like smaller insurance companies, they like literally every one of their clients had a total loss claim. So they could they can't cover that.
Yeah.
There's maybe the step forward is, okay, how do we pull back away from where we're bumping into nature's limits for what we're capable to do.
We're actually, even in the Midwest, Farm Bureau gave out a thing in 2024 that said if we have another year like we did 2023, 2024, 2025, they kind of alluded to like we won't be around anymore. You know, the weather things. And it was very interesting. I was actually just this morning pulling a clip out of our podcast with Dr. Larry Weber, where he was like, well, look, we're getting as much rain. We might even be getting more rain in the Midwest, but they're happening in more isolated events.
Right,
so the stronger
big 5-inch downpours.
And it's similar to the fire. If we had a fire every year that would sweep through, it'd be a lower grade. It's like a half-inch or 1-inch rain versus like one event every 15 years, and it's just sweeping through and destroying everything. I don't know what to do. If we want to just keep deciding that we're going to do things how we want to do things, we just need to get over the fact that nature's going to kick us really hard every 10 to 15 years, or whatever that actuary number is. But I don't know. You've never lived anywhere besides the Midwest, have you, Aaron?
Nope, I've always lived within about a 20-minute radius.
Man. Do you like anecdotally remember a difference in weather from when we were kids to?
I don't know. It's such a small time frame.
One climatic set of data, 30 years.
It's just hard to notice 30 years of change. But I've heard other people that are a lot older talk about how they don't remember the rivers flooding as frequently as what they do now.
Yeah.
And maybe that's a symptom of it's flooded the last 3 years in a row, so now it's really evident in my mind,
Yeah,
and
recency
25
bias,
years ago, I forgot. Oh, actually in 93, 4, and 5, and 8, it also flooded, but...
Yeah. So
I don't know. You'd have to look at those statistics, I guess.
I really like that answer. I'm a big, what is the actual trend of the graph, say, but yeah. All right, we should move on to topic of Colorado. Colorado River, everyone's heard that there's not enough...
Colorado getting some attention today.
Yeah. Sorry, not the state, the river.
It's a beautiful state. I love Colorado.
Yeah, we know how you feel, Ken. It
smells a little skunky around there anymore, but it's a beautiful state.
It is a really cool state. Actually, Kevin Kincaid, he was just recently on the podcast. You guys probably heard him. He's the CEO of a local rural hospital. And... he was the one who brought this to my attention. We all know that the snowpack is low and the Colorado River is kind of at like a record drought in terms of how much flow is going through it. Here's what I didn't know. Basically, there are about 40 million people who rely on the Colorado River for water. 75% of the water used in that...
40 million.
40 million. Well, think about it. You start getting to Phoenix, Arizona, Las Vegas, I believe there was one other major city. And, if each of those
about
cities...
an eighth of a country's population.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's a huge...
Wow.
Los Angeles, a big chunk of Los Angeles depends on it. So the 75% of the water that gets used from the Colorado River by humans is for agricultural purposes. And the 1922 Colorado River Pact was written to help states kind of divvy up who gets what water, when, how much, what happens if the river gets low, all this stuff. Except that the late 1910s and the 1920s were one of the wettest periods of any recorded time of the Colorado River. And so, because of that, we've actually been overusing the Colorado River water by almost 20% every single year. So how do you use more water in a river than actually is there? We had built out large lakes, Lake Powell and Lake Mead, which has made national headlines. We've built out these lakes. Well, even without this record low snowpack, which is basically giving no water to these major lakes or reservoirs, we were already just declining these lakes every single year, going down. But here's where it got kind of interesting to me. Lake Powell is 34 feet above the minimum power pool, where their infrastructure is set up for hydroelectricity. Okay,
right, yep.
But the engineers thought of this. So decades and decades ago, they set up like low. And I'm not an expert in this, so forgive me. This was explained to me by a guy who understands engineering infrastructure very well, and my tiny brain was trying to understand it.
Who was it?
Kevin.
Oh, Kevin.
Yeah, Kevin. And they set up these like a secondary infrastructure to be able to pull from it. But that secondary infrastructure that's lower in the ground, these giant cement like tubing, basically. If it pulls water, the cement isn't high enough quality. It's kind of decayed over the years and years. It starts decaying the cement on these dams. I mean, you're talking about like the Hoover Dam, right? And so everyone for years, oh, no problem. We got those secondary ones. Not anymore. Can't use those suckers. So now they truly are 34 feet away from not being able to have any power. And they ain't getting anything from the snow. And in a lot of these areas, there's aquifers, but they are drained where...
Well, aquifers aren't going to do anything for electricity, though.
No.
I
just meant for the ag.
Yeah, irrigation, drinking water, stuff like that.
The last few years, they've realized there's less water in the aquifers than they thought, and they're pulling at a higher rate than they planned to 60 years ago when they were setting up some of this infrastructure. So, 40 million people in the United States have a water crisis, and there was, let's see, I want to find it. Phoenix is investing in recycling sewage back into the drinking water system. And San Diego is trying to sell its extra desalination
plants.
To water to Nevada.
That's
and
where
Arizona.
they're using ocean water to pull the salt out of it.
It's
a big distillery process.
Isn't that what we should be doing? Like, there's like unlimited water in the ocean.
It's crazy
Expensive.
inefficient and expensive.
Oh, okay. That I wondered that. I didn't look into it. But
That's been one of the concerns with what's going on in Iran is if those desalination plants were hit, then you would have
people
millions
dying.
of
Water crisis.
and water
Interesting.
crisis. Yeah.
Interesting. Well, I think that
because they take so long to not only get a steady flow, but just to set the thing up.
Yeah.
And crazy expensive. And
so Phoenix did this giant study just recently, or study like they looked into what do they actually have to do with their water if they're going to actually make a difference and get their usage down meaningfully where they would be able to sustain this lower amount of water. And it was wild. I mean, obviously no watering lawn, but no public pools. Basically the golf courses would dry up. And they went through all the ramifications of this. And it was dramatic. Like places that
so in other words, turn it back into the desert.
Yeah. Well, that's kind of what I was thinking. I was like, maybe we aren't supposed to be there. I don't know.
I mean, that's what it sounds like when you start pulling all that stuff away, because that's what makes those places attractive, right? Is the weather, where you can go and shoot golf in January, and you can go and hop in the pool in March, and you can do all those things that you can't do anywhere else, but it requires that grid to exist.
Yeah.
Well, and Seth explained to us the reason Arizona has so much of the United States produce is they get so little rain, but they've got enough water.
Yeah, it's a known variable.
Yeah, they can control how much
it.
water is there. Well, if you can't be putting that consistent amount of water on. I'm interested to see how the snowpack thing goes long term. Obviously, we can find fixes for the next 3 months or 4 months, and the federal government could step in for that amount of time. But what's going to happen if the snowpack continues? Like 4 out of the next 7 years, it's like this.
And that snowpack isn't just like a really snowy winter. Then we're talking glaciers. Like a lot of the western states used to have glaciers even when I was a kid, and they don't anymore. And that glaciers take millennia to form. They're not a quick comes right back. Sure, a snowy year helps for that following year. It'll take a lot of snowy winters to really have long-term sustainability brought back.
Yeah. I don't know. Have you looked into it at all, Aaron?
I really haven't looked into it other than the headlines. It's a looming threat that I guess if you live there, you'd have to be concerned about, wouldn't you?
I'm like, isn't this kind of like existential?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. I mean,
Can they pump water from somewhere else?
And
we move oil through pipelines across the country. Is there like talk of pumping Mississippi River over to the desert?
That is a great point. We do that with oil.
Well, and I'm sure that's what the first attempts would be, right?
But the scale would be massive.
When in doubt, what do? We lean on fossil fuels, right? That's why you can live on the top of a mountain, is because fossil fuels can bring you what you need to survive.
If you had to carry it, you wouldn't do that.
right. So I imagine that's what the attempts would be. But even let's say, 100 years from now, or let's go even longer, 200 years from now, so that's roughly an eighth of the country's population surviving off that water. Let's say that gets cut in half. So now you have a 16th of America's population that has to be redistributed. Where are they all going?
Yeah. Well, I mean, if a bunch of them are coming to the Midwest, which would be interesting, I don't know. I think rural communities would invite the growth, if every rural community grew by 9% or something like that.
20 million people is a lot of people.
Yeah. But here's what I was more worried about: the vegetables. If they say, hey, we can't get water out west, we need to do it in the Midwest. They can grow the vegetables here. That definitely can happen. But it's not, the variables aren't as known, which means, because we get like more sporadic rain and stuff like that, that they would be more expensive. That's why the vegetables aren't grown here in the Midwest. They're cheaper to grow elsewhere.
Yeah.
And so I don't know where they would all go. But I just looked it up. The US uses about 850 million gallons of oil, not barrels, gallons. Yep. But it uses about 325 billion gallons of water. So you're talking about a multiple of 400 in terms of volume, which I don't know if we could, a pipeline could deal with that.
It'd be massive, but I'm sure somebody's looked into it. You'd have
true.
to once you're at this point. Look at every variable possible.
Man, I mean, you do wonder, like, how much is in Lake Superior? Like, how much could Lake Superior
the Great Lakes are going to get drains put on them.
No, man. No one quote that idea.
Now
Travis, if you're listening, that's not what we want.
Now the whole upper Midwest in 40 years is facing a water crisis.
Oh, my goodness, dude. Yeah, I mean, there's something to be said of just like using less. I'm not a regulation person, but we should socially shame people that have lawns in places that lawns can't grow. Like, if you're in Iowa, I mean, we already don't love lawns here at the Prairie Farm, but if you're in Iowa and your lawn is fine and green most of the year, and you got a 2-week period where you could water, it gets kind of brown. I kind of understand that. I don't love it. But if you have to water it, like in Northern California, when people have lawns, what the freak? What are you doing?
I want it my way, man.
When you have to install a sprinkler system with the lawn.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh man, one of my best friends, he's a sprinkler contractor out there, right? You have to have, like a plumber here, you have to have license and everything to do it. And he was like, well, yeah, I like new builds more. And I'm thinking, new builds? What the heck? He's like, yeah, when people put in houses, they put in their sprinkler system with their lawns, because otherwise they can't have lawns. And that was upsetting for me.
Skip the lawn.
Yeah, I know. Like, there are really cool rock yards.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And there are these epic parks, because California does a pretty good job with their parks. So I'm like, just bring your kids to the park.
Hey, look, if there's one thing we're good at, it's mowing down the rough blade and start slapping some zinnias.
That's true.
You know what I mean?
The hostas, they're everywhere.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Well, everyone, thank you so much for listening. Just a reminder, if you got prairie questions, we have had epic prairie questions on the forum. And shout out to Steve Nugent and Luke Clark for swinging in without me even asking, just answering these great questions. Really appreciate you guys. Everyone who's been asking that. They're great questions, and so I highly recommend going and look at those very nuanced, niche things. If you're not a prairie freak, it probably won't interest you that much, to be honest. But if you are a prairie freak, it's the place to be. Thanks for listening. Thanks for Aaron for coming on out here.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah,
back to work.
That's right.
Aaron.
What's going on an organic farm right now? Are you done cultivating corn?
Corn it's to the point where it just is what it is. You either got the weeds or you didn't,
but
it's way too tall to get through it.
Yeah.
Soybeans are still weed zapping, or maybe some late cultivation going on. But
when you say weed zapping, do you have an electric
I don't, but I got a friend that has one, so I get videos of him doing it. It's cool to watch.
Yeah.
Is it ROI?
I don't know.
Is this your first year doing it?
I haven't personally done it. I have a friend that does it on his farm.
Oh, he's not doing it on his farm.
He's not doing it on my farm. I thought about asking him what it would cost him to do it, but I don't know if it would ROI.
Sure. Well, I'm thinking like some of our fields where the mare's tail, it's like you can't use chemical in mare's tail. The amount of chemical you'd have to use to kill mare's tail. And then also it's like not the end of the world to have it, but the really tall ones that get in the way and add more foliage.
It's just hard on the pictures around here, okay?
I was thinking more like it adds a lot more foliage that the combine has to deal with.
But mare's tail might be hard to kill because a weed zapper relies on a wet, juicy plant to explode all the water molecules. So if you have a stemmy hardwood thing like
especially
mare's
by the time
tail,
it's tall,
they're hard to kill.
They are. They're just the ultimate weed.
Yeah, they are.
But thank goodness they're native.
Water hemp though, easy to kill with a weed zapper.
Oh yeah, I bet that.
They're juicy and full of water, so it'll fry them. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's fun.
How are they on Canada thistle? Because I hate Canada thistle.
I don't think they're the best on Canada thistle.
Dang.
Nothing is. I hate Canada thistle so much.
You know,
dude.
Too many roots.
You know what, Canada? It's not your fault that it's named after you. I don't know why it's named after you, but evidently it doesn't come from you.
Oh my goodness, dude. All right, everyone. Thank you so much for listening, and we will talk to you again next time.